and welcome to the first video in the creativity series. And in these videos I'm going to be showing you the concepts that I described to you on the audio, and you'll get to see how these concepts can be represented visually so that you can see relationships and the progressions of the ideas. So we'll start off with where I ended up, which was the problem-solving box from the Houdini principle. I'll just write in these here. We'll get to how these came about as we go through the videos. We have direction, whole and part. On the left here we have sequence. On the right, obstacles. And this represents a problem-solving model that you can use on any issue or challenge that you have, and you can cycle through each different aspect, you can combine different aspects, and you can even add other principles in the middle of the box. So that's what we're going to be looking at, how that came about, and that's the next piece. Okay, so the first thing that I noticed when I read the story about the doctor's coat was that there was a fairly immediate understanding that that was a good example of a principle. Because when Houdini hid the keys on the back of the doctor's coat, it was as if it was the answer to a question, not where do I hide the keys, but where's the last place he's going to think of looking for them. And that was a fairly obvious example of which direction are you thinking. And that became very easy to translate that into that principle. So we have the instance here of the doctor's coat, and then the idea that was about a principle of which direction you were thinking. So once I had this piece, the direction principle, I went looking for other examples, and I found some others in Houdini and some other in other contexts. So what that gave me was the idea that this was a principle that had some substance. So that would be the first thing I'd do. Once you've got your little golden nugget, go up to what's that an example of in terms of principle, and then go looking for other examples of that principle. See if you can find a few more. See if it's something that has some substance. That would be the first thing to do. Okay, so once I had this, that gave me the first piece in terms of the box. I had already decided on the box. I had previously had a triangle with the three characteristics that I had identified about Houdini. I thought set him apart from other magicians and other performers. But that, well, it doesn't make any sense. I was doing that to be different from what I'd done before, but obviously for Houdini, to my mind, it had to be a box. So this is the first piece I had. I had direction, the notion that thinking in a particular direction and then thinking in the opposite direction might provide you with some more choices and possibilities from what you had at the time. So this idea of the direction. So now I've got three pieces left, and what I need to do is find more principles. But I can't go looking for those principles because I don't know what they are yet. I can find other examples of this, but now I need to find another example of other principles. So this is what I do. And we had your insight, the principle, other examples. Okay, so that becomes this. So what we need to go looking for from this place. We went, what's this insight an example of in terms of principle? So what we want is more of these in a different context. So we have to find what is this an example of in terms of the content. And in this instance it's an example of an escape, so I need other escapes. Other examples of other escapes that give me the same kind of insight into how he was thinking. So the doctor's coat was an example of an escape. What other escapes were there that gave me that had the same feeling attached to them of an insight into how he was thinking? So I'm going to use that state, a little aha, as the means to go searching, looking for other escapes. Once I find those, I then take them through the same principle, the same thinking process, as I did before, to provide me with the other three sides to the box. So we have the moment of appreciation, of insight, or whatever you want to call it, when I read about the doctor's coat. Take that state and start reading and thinking and looking for other examples of that response to something. Once I find that, I then say, what's that an example of in terms of principle, in terms of learning, perception, problem solving, creative thinking? What's that an example of? Once I get the example, the principle, then I go down and try and find more examples of that principle being demonstrated. It may be outside of the context that I'm thinking about, which is Harry Houdini, and some of them were. Found them in books on problem solving and creative thinking and stories, but it gave some substance to this principle.